this is not obviously an opportunity. I know we're all very frustrated over what happened on Saturday. This is not simply just for us to talk at the mayor and not the mayor to talk at us, but for us to be able to ask questions of the mayor about what happened and his position on it. So Liz is going to very quickly talk about the agenda, and then if people are mind, we'll start.
So first we're going to hear a recap of what we experienced and saw on Saturday night, and then we'll give the mayor a chance to respond, and we have to keep that under 2 minutes, hopefully.
Can you
can.
speak up?
Okay, well, we will just do as best you can then. And then next we'll move to our question-answer part of our agenda. Again, we're asking for response in about 2 minutes, being like you said, we could have about a half an hour to 45 minutes here today, so if we can get through as much as possible, that'd be great. So starting, Sam, would you like to... actually, could Sam make a statement, and then could you...
It's going to be like very brief, and then you can get your statement.
Sure,
Thank you.
okay. This is a brief recap of what I saw, starting with a little bit of an intro that I believe strongly. Mayor Rybak and Chief Dolan, you're creating a pressure cooker situation in the city in which we cannot execute our First Amendment rights the way we wish. There are local ordinances barring us, and they will continue to bar us if there's something that is done, from assembling, speaking, and petitioning the government, contrary to the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. On April 7th, we occupied Minneapolis Day. This is a brief version of what I saw. We recited a statute which we have strong compelling proof does not apply to a specific scenario. After which, we decided to comply. And we went a very civil step further by completely vacating PB Plaza. Our intent was to leave Minneapolis Police Department jurisdiction and find safe harbor on the People's Plaza, where Occupy Minnesota began. Somewhere, an order came to attack our peaceful march and halt our effort to comply with the authorities. I was dragged into the street from the sidewalk, where 4 officers made my face come in contact with the ground. I'm sure people here have reviewed the footage from our live streamers and the local press, as thousands of others have, and concluded that freedom of the press is also brutally suppressed. Censorship must not be tolerated in a supposedly democratic nation. And for a mayor who I feel is often lauded as a champion progressive, it is slightly shocking how quiet you've been on this issue, and a litany of other cases of police brutality, specifically during bar closures and warehouse district and other cases. We forwarded our videos to your staff, and I hope that you've made the same conclusions we have. Thank you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate sharing that. I'm looking forward to others' opinions. First up, thank you all for coming here. I want to say that people are always welcome in my office. Once a month, I have an open house. Anybody is welcome. One of the good things is that over the period of time since various folks have been involved with Occupy, I think pretty much every month someone from Occupy is here, and that's a good thing. You're always welcome to come on that. One of the things that is important is it's a city that values free speech, and it also values everyone having the right to move about the city. My job is to balance those, and for my understanding is for a large part of Saturday night that worked very well. Because of good work on the part of people in this room, many of you, and because of good work on the part of our police. The actions got more complicated as people left PB Plaza into the street. And the chief was there. I'm going to ask him to give a brief overview of what he saw there, but then mostly have a dialogue going here. We can take this till 1:30. I'm working on my State of the City tomorrow, so I have to go till that. So I want to ask the chief to give a little bit of that, and then joining with your comments and hearing other comments, we can have a dialogue and talk that through. So I welcome you here, and Chief, maybe give a quick overview of what you saw Saturday night.
Can you try to limit your...
Let's have the chief talk.
Thanks for giving me a chance to talk. I know that I talked to a number of people here last Saturday night. We talked about the tents at PB Plaza, the fact that we cannot, not going to allow tents to stay there. And I appreciated the cooperation that we had. The march then to the park, we assisted with that. We made sure that was uneventful. But then there was another march, and the bottom line is, I think we will help you and facilitate those marches as much as we can. But when it becomes problematic and we tell you that we have to clear the streets, that means that we have to clear the street. And that's what happened in this situation. I did review those videos. If you have incidents where you believe you were treated unfairly, I think you bring it forward, bring it to internal affairs. We will look into it. I know pretty much everything that happened that night was on video somewhere. Seen a lot of videos. So there's probably a video of it if there's an incident. So bring it forward. Be happy to deal with it. We're dealing with the incident involving the cameraman. I didn't see that to be an appropriate action by my officer, and we'll be dealing with that through the internal affairs, and they'll be consequences. So if there are instances, and it's tough out there, as people's tempers get going one way, both ways, please bring it in. You have relationships with the supervisors, go to them, but if something happens, bring it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So we would like to start in with our questions. Really great.
So where's our first question?
Right there.
Right here.
No, there's second question.
And then we'll open it up.
Then we'll have open forum after
There
that.
are 5 questions, and we'll open it up. And then we'll have an open forum if you feel like you need a question.
This is Rosarella, and this is a question from all of us who were present on Saturday and those who were not. And it's, will you condemn Police Chief Dolan's authorization of excessive force and mass mobilization of city resources against peaceful protesters? If so, will you call for disciplinary action?
Well, what's important is for us to understand specifically what issues people have objections to. The question was a broad statement about police conduct that night and what would I condemn or not. And the important thing is that we ask our police to do tough things and we hold them accountable. And so what we need to do is to focus on a specific action. For instance, the chief, as he just said, reviewed film of one of our officers and a cameraman. That was deemed to be inappropriate, and consequences will be taken on that. If there's other information about an action that was taken that night, and as the chief mentioned, there's a lot of good film, because lots of people are filming, and that's a good thing. Let's review those. There's a process we have in our internal affairs unit, and working through those processes. To be fair to citizens and police, we don't have the mayor object to hearsay. What we do have is we have people bring forward information, and then we look at the film and we'll take that into our process. So if anybody has anything that you consider objectionable, let's bring it out and take a look at it, and we'll bring it into the process and look.
And if you see things that are objectionable, will you condemn it?
Absolutely. I think you just heard me say that a police officer involving a camera took action that was not appropriate, and I will condemn that. I will support our police for the good work they did much of that night.
All right, thank you so much. Second question?
Your staff stated that you were unaware of the conditions of the mass arrest on Saturday night. Regardless, do you think that the mobilization of 50-plus police officers, mounted police, a mobile command unit, and crime lab in order to suppress a peaceful movement whose goals you publicly supported are a sound use of city resources?
Well, first off, I was generally aware of what was going on Saturday night. I met with our staff and Chris Arneson, who leads the downtown command in advance. We talked about the balance that's important. We talked about how important it is for people to be able to express themselves, and we also talked about the fact that if there was that there couldn't be tents on the plaza, which is something that has been consistent. I think I talked with a lot of folks about that out there, about why I come at that, and I'll give more details if you want. So I was aware of that. I was also aware of the fact that if the streets were obstructed, that our police would act. The chief of police, I also talked through, and the chief of police took the action of himself being there Saturday night, so he was on the point on that. And so I'll ask him to comment on that.
The protocol, if we're going to clear the street, and we have to clear the street, is you would get adequate warning. Were there warnings given?
No.
And, well, I think if you feel that way and you have a complaint, I think it's a complaint you have to make. Because I'll tell you right now, we were videotaping that as well, and the warnings would have to be given before we go in, and we would ask everybody to clear the street. And that's what I was told exactly what happened. So I'm being told a different side of that. But if there's an issue with that, an issue with what happened, come forward and bring it to the point.
Yeah, my main point of that question was city resource funding tax money that is going into a very large amount of police officers and a very large amount of units and all kinds of things which are apparently, to protect us. But is it to protect us, and is that a good use of our resources?
This is always a tough question about how many resources you put into something or not. Now, remember that on a typical downtown Saturday night, we have a lot of folks out there. The question of where they're deployed. So a lot of times what you have is you have a large force that's in different places, and when something happens, people go to that place. So I strongly doubt all those resources were allocated to just that. We didn't call for additional police that night. We did